Welcome to the Podcasting Mentor Podcast, a podcast for entrepreneurs who are ready to stop hiding and start showing up on the right stages without the burnout. I'm Candace Dudley, podcast guesting strategist, and your go-to for turning interviews into your favorite marketing and networking tool. And guess what? My podcast guesting accelerator is now enrolling for summer. Yep, this is your sign to finally get off the sidelines and into the spotlight. Like my client Kelly, who landed 8 guest spots in a single week after we worked together. She called it a no-brainer and said she'd 1000% do it again. That's the power of intentional guesting, and that's exactly what I'll help you do. Let's get brave, let's get strategic, and let's get you heard. Head to the show notes for more details on my podcast guesting accelerator. All right, let's talk podcast guesting as a growth strategy. First of all, there's a lot of reasons why we write this off. Let's dive into those because I think this is where we're going to get to the root of why we're maybe not even considering this as a serious way to grow our business, increase our visibility, and get our message out there in a long form content that's really going to work for you so much longer than other things like social media. Number one, reasons we're overlooking podcast guesting, it feels slow. We are like trained in this quick win world where we want things to be instant. You might record one day, the episode might not air for a few weeks, and then you kind of are in this like waiting game for people to listen to it and then come over and follow you. And so there's like this longer type feeling. It feels slower than instantly getting likes or things like that when you post on social media. But this is really a long game and it's building deep trust and it leads to bigger, more sustainable results over time, much bigger than just a simple social media post. This is going to work for you much longer than that. The other reason is that we think podcast guesting is only for big names. Like, who are we to be speaking on this? We have to be a celebrity, an influencer, have a huge following, or have our own podcast to go guest on someone else's show. That is just not true. There are thousands, literally thousands of smaller shows, mine being one of them, these independent shows where one person like me is producing it and making it work. And we are here to support other small business owners. And so these are perfectly aligned shows for people that are looking to guest on podcasts because there's so many of us that are also looking for guests and looking for a fresh voice and a fresh take on things. And also in that same bucket, if you will, you might not want to have a podcast. And so then you don't think that guesting is for you. You think you have to have a podcast to be able to go guest on shows. And that's just not true. This is actually a great place to start. Even if you don't want a podcast, but maybe you're someone that thinks maybe you do want one, go do some guesting. See how that feels. It's a great low cost, easy way to just dip your toe in and see how that feels. So you don't need to have a podcast. You don't even need to want to be a podcaster to go and utilize podcast guesting. Third one, fear of public speaking. This kind of ties into like imposter syndrome, like I was just leading to, like, who am I to be talking about this? This is such a much more relaxed, laid back type of thing. Typically podcasts are because you are controlling your environment. You're not up in front of tons of people. This is not like a high pressured TED talk. This isn't like getting in front of a room of 200 plus people and speaking. This is being at home on your couch, however you want your environment to be. That's how you get to have it. And also most podcasters edit and you can literally pause in between and say, hey, I want to re-say that, or I didn't like that, cut that out. So just so much more control. And also that imposter syndrome of like, who am I to be talking about this? We can dive into that a little bit when we go through why we should be considering this, but you have a voice, you have a story to share. Someone's waiting to hear it. Also, underestimating the power of relationship building. So think networking. Guesting isn't just like exposure and getting to talk and chit chat. This is relationship building with the host and also their entire audience that they have built this know, like, and trust value with. And they're vetting you, having you on the show, telling basically their audience that, hey, I trust this person. I've checked into this person. They know what they're talking about. And this is so much different than just getting in front of as many faces as you can, because these are typically, if you've done the work and homework and found that alignment, these are warm audiences. These are people that are already interested in what you're doing or have some type of value or commonality with you. Not to mention the deep dive that you get to go on with the host that tends to become this great relationship or network and community builder where you can now pass on referrals and different things. Another thing we think is that it's not as visible as social media. It's not so instant. We can't instantly get views on it and things like that. But after a podcast airs, it can turn into so much more. You know, the depth of the connection is so much higher than this like Instagram reel or something that might grab your attention, because in a podcast, sometimes there's video. So someone gets to like literally see you. If not, they're hearing your voice, and that's so much different. It's like getting to meet someone on such a deeper level than just a static carousel post or picture on Instagram or a text on Threads. And it just has that extra layer to it that is so different. Here's a big one. We don't know where to start. We don't know where to start. We want to do this, but like, how do you even find a show? How do you pitch themselves? What do you say? Well, you should go listen to episode 155, Prepping for Your Guest Spot, if you want to do that. Otherwise, just head to the link in my bio, because I have a getting started guide for podcast guesting that is totally free. So go and head there, go ahead and download that. Again, this long game thing, this lack of immediate ROI, return on investment, it's easy to just want to chase likes and chase sales and fast things and ads and promotion. But guesting is planting that seed, and it's often going to bloom into bigger results, brand trust, authority, loyal audiences, high ticket clients. But it takes some time in getting your message out there than these quick things like paying for a big promotion or an ad on social media. Also, the thought that guesting is just people talking. And don't get me wrong, it could be chatting, and sometimes that happens, but this can be strategic when it is done right. And that's what I teach you in my guesting course and guesting accelerator. I walk you through how to align and get really intentional about your offers, your speaking points, so that this can be very strategic. Also, how to find these aligned shows so that you are in front of people that are looking for you and your services, and then is going to turn people into followers and attract the right type of aligned clients and position you as the go-to expert, not just someone that's chatting and just out there chit-chatting away. That can build a lot of great relationships, but this can be really powerful when it's done strategically. Okay, so let's flip that coin and dive into why we shouldn't be overlooking podcast guessing, why this is such a huge thing that could really elevate your business. First of all, it's building instant authority and credibility. You are getting featured on a podcast, like I mentioned, as an expert in your field. Someone is bringing you on. They are basically letting their listeners know you know what you're talking about. They've already built that trust with their audience. Their audience is loyal, most likely. And it's like tapping into this pre-built loyal group of people that want to know and trust you faster than scrolling on Instagram, seeing your post and scrolling by it. This trust and authority and credibility, it's just happening so much faster, again, because there's that video aspect a lot of times and that audio aspect that is so different. So it's like someone can feel like they know you versus looking at a picture of you. Another reason is this is evergreen content. This is long form content. It keeps working for you. It's not just one social media post that's gone basically after so long. This episode, the title is searchable. You can use it on your website. You can turn it into a blog. You can post about it on social media, but this is long form content that is staying searchable and staying online, possibly months, even years after your interview has aired. This is also, along with that, is strengthening your SEO and online presence. That searchable content that you have, these backlinks, meaning like people can click and it's going to bring them to your website, bring them to your show. That is showing an online authority that's boosting your visibility in Google searches. There's a lot more happening for you, again, than social media and other types of content. This and blogging, podcasting and podcast guesting is so much different than other ways of advertising. It's also growing your network in a really meaningful way. We've all been to stuffy business cardy type of events where you're just trying to promote yourself. And obviously you're trying to promote yourself on a podcast or when you go do guesting, but it is such a meaningful way. Your host that you get to chat with becomes this valuable business contact, collaborator, possible referral partner, because if you do it strategically and if you do it with the things that I teach in my guesting course or my guesting accelerator, then you will be top of mind when someone comes to that podcast host and asks for questions in your field. They are going to think of you if you follow my advice in those things that I lay out in the podcast guesting course, which I'll link in the show notes. So it's this relationship building strategy. It's not just for visibility. It is really creating that network that's really going to work for you. Also, it is super low cost and huge return. If you don't have a budget for ads and things like that, which so many of us, independent entrepreneurs, solopreneurs are doing, this, you need what? A computer that you already have, a laptop or a device that you can hop on. You already have it because you're running your business through it, and then a microphone, and it doesn't even need to be expensive. So super low cost. The guesting spots I've done have been for free. I don't charge people to be on my podcast, and I haven't gone on podcasts that have charged me. So again, it's super cost efficient. And again, tons of content that you can create after, or that the host is creating for you by tagging you and collaborating in social media posts. You can take your episode and make it into a little blog on your website. There's just so many ways to repurpose that content that you just get better and better at speaking on the more that you speak, right? It's like practicing your messaging over and over every time you guest, and it's going to make everything clearer. Your posts, your blogs, your social media, your website, all the things. I have a full episode on this, but this is a perfect strategy for entrepreneurs and also busy entrepreneurs like us moms that are out here working it and solopreneurs. There is no like awkward mingling that happens at networking events. You get to dive into real conversations. You record it once, and then there's these massive ripple effects, and there's not like this endless amount of cold DMing, like all these different strategies that maybe like networking events teach you. It just is wonderful for introverts and busy entrepreneurs. It also is going to boost your confidence and your speaking skills, your storytelling skills. The more you guest, the better you're going to get. You actually are going to find more clarity in what you're speaking about. And it also could potentially, because this has happened to me, bring me more clarity in what offers I have, the way I speak about my business and the message that I want to create and pass on through podcasting. And so this confidence is really going to flow out into the other areas of your life, especially when you go to send an email to your email list or to post on social media. All of that is going to become more cohesive, more clear, because you are now practicing your messaging, because you're continuing to speak on these podcasts. It's really a big bang for your buck. Okay, another reason is that it converts better than traditional ads. Like I said, you can hear someone's story, you can hear their values, you can feel their energy when they're talking or you're watching them on video, and people are more likely to buy from you, to sign up with you, to want you to coach them and mentor them than if they just saw a picture of you on social media or a quick post. It lets them get to know you on a deeper level. And my final reason is that it just very much aligns with wanting to have something that is sustainable. It's this ease focus that's just going to keep you out of burnout, because you get to jump on, pour your heart and soul into your message for that 30 minutes to an hour that you talk with that host, and then you're done. There's this piece where you don't have to grind and hustle. You get to just meet with that host, share, and then when that episode airs and the host is taking care of the editing, the promoting, you get to then share it on your stories, share it on your email list, and it's just out there working for you for months or years that people can search for it again with that long form content. So it's just creating this abundance with less burnout in your business. So again, if you want help with this, if you're like, yeah, I need to sign up for this, I need to get podcast guesting, go head to the show notes. There's lots of things there. Go with the free starter guide and just download that and start there. All right, that's it for today. If this episode gave you a little aha, or you're thinking about guesting on podcasts now, I'd love to hear about it. Screenshot the episode, tag me on Instagram @CandiceDudley, and let me know your biggest takeaways. And don't forget to come back next Tuesday for another episode.